I always allow him time at the beginning and end of each session to investigate me if he feels like he wants to. As I said in the beginning of the series, it's very important that he's used to the tool I will be using the most, which is simply my body. So if he wants to investigate me, it's important that he's allowed to. Now I'm just going to remain still. I'm not going to grab at him or anything. So he's asking me for neck scratches right now, so I might just oblige. And doing that from down here is good because it gets him used to me being in a different shape than he normally sees me. And he's getting a positive interaction out of it as well. And I always like to end the sessions after I end the session with just some extra scratches, just so we leave things on a really positive note. Alright everyone, my last 3 videos did not record because my phone was out of space once again. So I wanted to do a live session today to kind of catch you guys up on where Sundancer's at. In the last 3 sessions, we've introduced spray bottles. I was able to fly spray his face, his neck, and his shoulder. And I've begun untangling his mane, as you can see. And in addition to that, he is now allowing the halter to go over both ears. So he's well on his way to checking self-haltering off of the list. And I was able to leave the halter setting on his face for a few seconds. When I introduced the spray bottle, the most reaction I got was he tensed up once but didn't even leave. So that was pretty easy. And like I said, as we're introducing new things, the more new things we introduce, the easier they're going to be to introduce because he has all these positive experiences to look back on. And of course, he's enjoying scratches as much as ever. Still able to reach over his back. Great preparation for me actually getting on him. And I have also been able to scratch all the way back to the dock of his tail. We'll see how he feels about that today. Like that. Perfect. Okay. I might just start with some spray bottle here. And how I introduced this is first I just held it up, clicked and rewarded when he brought his nose around to investigate the spray bottle. And then we added in the spray. So there I just held it up when he brought his nose around. I sprayed it, clicked, and treated. Okay. See there, we got a little flinch again. So he's not completely used to spray bottles, and this is a different one than I originally introduced. There I'm getting a stress indicator, so I might just hold off on that for a moment. And maybe go back to some touch here. Good. We've also been working on touching under his belly. Oh. Found another itchy spot under there. And we've been working on him shifting his weight in preparation to pick up his legs. Good boy. Now that he's okay with me touching down to his tail, we'll be working down the hindquarters and then eventually down the hind legs as well. There's a horsefly, so I might just let him deal with that. I don't want to be touching his hindquarters at the same time that that horsefly might bite him, because then he might associate me touching his hindquarters with the pain of the horsefly. So while it would be really cool if I could get that horsefly off of him, I don't want to risk creating a negative experience. Does that make sense? If he wants to leave, that's okay. Can't eat out of the bag though, buddy. Okay. Might just move with him. And if he remains still, I'll click in reward. He thinks he's supposed to be touching me here, so just gonna mess with his mane for a moment. Good. There we go. Good. I've also introduced this comb in the last session so that I can actually really untangle that mane once he's comfortable with me standing there messing with it. So I might just see if I can scratch back down his hindquarters here. Good. Good boy. Shift his weight. Perfect. That was pretty good, so I might actually see if I can go ahead and pick up this leg. He's pretty trusting at this point. We've built a pretty neat relationship. As you can see, he's very relaxed. His eyes are partially closed and he's continually blinking. His ears are moving around. All the signs we want to see, telling us that our horse is comfortable. Very good. So let's just see. Keep in mind that this was previously his bad side, but he's set up right now. His weight's on that leg over there, so I can try and see how this will go. Perfect. Notice I just waited until he picked it up, barely. I'm not trying to get it all the way up, and I'm not trying to go ahead and hold on to it. We don't want to cause any stress, and letting a person pick up a horse's hooves is extremely trusting of them, because without one leg, they cannot escape. So if there's any danger, they have to trust that they can pick up their leg and they'll be okay. Good. If your horse is very reactive, I would recommend giving it a long time before you try picking up their hooves, because it could be very stressful for them. And as you can see, even though he's comfortable with me putting this halter over both ears, I am still starting out lower down on our approximations. So I'm rewarding him for just putting it over his nose for several repetitions before I even begin putting it over his ear. Okay, so there, we went over the first ear. Good. Good. First ear again. Now, if you notice, when I put this on, he's slightly moving his head to the outside over there. So I might wait to click till he brings it back to me. See, he's wandering over there. Brings it back, then I'll reward. We don't want him to learn that when he's being haltered, he should look away. So we'll wait. Good. Looks back, we reward. Notice that he gets slightly stressed with me leaving it over his ear like that. So that's a sign to me that I don't need to put this all the way on him and leave it on just yet. Good. That time he didn't look away, so I rewarded immediately and removed the halter. I might just go back to the leg here. Good. Oh, okay, he left, so we're going to not reward for that one. Good. I went back to just the nose so we can build up his confidence a little bit more. Okay, that was over both ears, but he did turn his head away. Now, that's happening because in previous sessions I've clicked even though he turned his head away. So now we need to begin shaping that behavior out by not rewarding if he turns his head away. There, he didn't turn his head away, so we'll go ahead and reward. Very good. He is asking me for some scratches there. Very good. He didn't look away that time, and that was over both ears. And I might even scratch in between repetitions because he really enjoys his scratches. Notice my body is touching his, and I'm scratching him on the other side. This is really good preparation for actually getting on him. If your horse is not used to seeing you on both sides at one time, they're going to have huge problems when you go, oh, that's okay. We'll just return to just the nose for a few minutes here. Good. Okay. Take a little break from the halter. He's not sure what he's supposed to do when I'm messing with his mane. That's why he's moving around. So when he faces forward and stands quietly, then I'll click and reward. Okay? Just like that. I'm also working on touching his ears. Very important that we're able to touch our horse's ears for the haltering process. And just in case we ever need to check them out for any reason. Okay. Good. Now if you'll notice, I've got a lead rope over here. This is the first time I'm introducing the lead. Now if you remember when I introduced the halter, me just holding it up like this created anxiety in him and he felt the need to go to the other end of the pen. This is the first day he's seeing this and he doesn't care. He's already willing to touch it because he understands the process of me introducing objects to him. So this is fantastic. Very good. And that just shows you how with every new thing that you introduce, it gets easier and easier for your horse. Now I might just change the shape of this here. Good. Perfect. I want him to be nice and used to this before we ever even clip it onto him. Otherwise it could cause extreme anxiety and stress, which is not what we want, because your horse cannot learn if they're feeling stress, okay? Good. I might see what he does if I just throw it out flat. Sometimes they look like a snake. Okay, see, caused a little bit of stress. So I might just move it further away from him. See if he'll look at it. When he looks at it, then I'll reward him. Good. He's progressing very quickly and overall doing awesome. Very pleased with his progress. At this point, he's been with me for 2 months. It's always worth it to go much slower and have a calm, relaxed, and trusting horse than it is to go quick and end up with a half-trained, skeptical, scared horse who doesn't really trust humans. Good. So right there, I just wanted to have him touch it again after he saw it moving around on the ground and got a little anxious about it. Sometimes if they feel a little anxious about something, oh, I hit the fence there. Sometimes if they feel a little anxious about something and you try and get them to acknowledge it, they won't, because they are still feeling residual stress. There, he looks at it, so we'll click and reward for that. And if you notice, the introduction to this lead rope is a little more intensive than the introduction to the halter was. That's because when we introduce new things, as we go, they understand the process, they trust us more, they understand that new things are fun and rewarding and not scary. So we're able to introduce things at a faster rate the further we move along in the horse's training. Now, that's probably enough of that today. That was a pretty good introduction. And another thing we've been working on is targeting. This is going to aid us when we're teaching Sundancer to stand tied, to stand for grooming, to flex, to respond to pressure. So targeting has a lot of benefits. We'll also be using targeting a lot when we're just introducing new things or desensitizing them to really scary things such as tarps or noodles or streamers or anything of that sort. We are also going to use targeting to teach the basics of lunging. And it's just a really fun way to get your horse thinking. And you can try the target in all sorts of places. There, if he doesn't quite notice the target, I just give it a little wiggle, and then he will bring his attention right to it. So you notice that our training sessions are very fun. We're not doing a whole lot of the same thing over and over. We'll wait till he touches the target. Good. And I might use the target to ask him to walk over this lead rope here, or walk next to it, and see if he's concerned about it or not. Giving it a little wiggle. He thinks he's supposed to be targeting my hand. That's okay. Might just bring it closer. There. We always want to give them a task that they can complete successfully. If I were to just continue holding the target out here and he wasn't responding, then we might create some anxiety and hurt his confidence a little bit. There. Now he's getting it figured out. This is the first targeting session where we've really moved it all over the place. We've really just been doing it next to his sides and in front of his nose. Very good. Alright, Blue Duck is chewing on the tripod. Let me make sure this is still recording and move it out of his reach. Hey, bud. Great, it's still recording. Just going to move this a little bit. Alright. I might just ask him to back up here. I'm using my hips. Placing my hand where it will be when we're leading. And there. He backs. So I click and reward. Good. We'll just work on some touch here. He moved his butt away from me. That is okay. If he doesn't want it touched, I don't want to touch it. We'll work a little bit on the spray bottle again. Good. He looked and I just sprayed. Good. This time I'm going to spray his neck. As you can see, he raised his head a little bit, but he remained, and that's okay. He's telling me that he needs a little more time to get used to the spray bottle, which is fine with me. Our horses are always communicating with us, guys, and if we choose to ignore it, that's when we get ourselves into sticky situations and create dangerous horses, okay? If I were to not listen to him right now, and I were to walk over there and continue trying to spray him with the spray bottle, I would now create a terrible negative association with the spray bottle, and he would not be open to allowing me to spray him in the future. And that would be a new problem that we'd have to work through. Rather than, I'm just going to allow him to do his thing, and when he feels like coming back over, we'll continue our session, and we'll probably move a little bit slower on the spray bottle. And this is another great example of how training is not linear. Because as I said in the last session, I was able to spray his face, neck, and shoulders with fly spray. And in this session, he's having a little bit of anxiety with the spray bottle. So your horse can always regress and go back to being worried about something. I might just ask him to target my hand here. But their progress not being linear should not be something that stresses you out. It's just them communicating with you. It's no different than if your child were to tell you, hey, I'm scared of the dark. And then one day they tell you they're brave and they're not scared of the dark. And then the next week they go back to being scared of the dark. It's okay. It's all part of the natural learning process. Might work on some follow me here. Good. Come on. Very good. Okay. See how willing he was to stick his face back in this halter? And notice that he's not anxious and worried because we had one little thing happen with the spray bottle that gave him anxiety. He's right back to being calm, relaxed, and calm and happy with half-closed eyes and able to relax enough to enjoy scratches, which is just what we want. We'll wait. There, he tipped his head towards me. I clicked and removed the halter. If I were to just leave this sitting on his face or move my hand away from where I can take it off easily, I would definitely create some anxiety. All right. I'm getting a little low on hay here, so we'll probably do a few more repetitions. I don't want him to pull away. There. Up is fine right now. That's okay. We're learning. But I don't want him to get in the habit of looking away from me, because what will happen there is I won't be able to have my hand in position to take the halter off. And so that will really cause him some stress if the halter gets left on him and it's half hanging off of his face and he's running around here trying to get it off. Notice here, he's a little skeptical, so we'll return to just having him put his nose in the halter. And this is another example of progress not being linear. I'll probably say that 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 times in this series, but it's just such an important thing that I feel the need to beat into people's brains, because most traditional training camps give you steps A through Z that you must complete and make you feel like they should all happen in perfect order and in perfect time. But in reality, every single horse is an individual just like us, and they require just as much patience and care when learning. Okay, well, he's reaching towards the halter, so perfect. He didn't tilt his head away. We will end haltering on that note. And to end the session, I will probably mess with his mane one more time and then pet down to his hindquarters. It's okay. Good. The bag rolled. He still didn't get scared. He stood and allowed me to mess with his mane, which is perfect. I've got one handful of hay left in here. Okay, let's see. His lip tells me he's enjoying this, which is my permission to move further back. Good. All right, and that will end today's session, guys. I'll see you in the next video.